Hey everyone, Ivey here. Gravity really needs to change the locks on their channel. I mean, it's way too easy to break into here. And with you all here, can you blame me? Alright, this is our post character creation chat with Keller of Space Cat Publishing, the creator of the Lost Toy Brigade. If you're looking to see how to create a character and have a grand old time doing it, well, that's not this video. That video is actually in the description below. I should probably also let you know we'll have a Lost Toy Brigade quick start guide coming out here shortly. We kind of want to time it around the same time the official playtest video comes out, so maybe just like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you're notified when this goes live. Now, with all that housekeeping and fun banter out of the way, let's get into it. Obviously, this is a rules light system, as we've said multiple times throughout this. If there is someone who enjoys wants to play this system but enjoys a little bit more grittiness, so like say someone does enjoy having like a health pool for their character, or does enjoy those kind of tracking for their story, do you have any kind of like suggestions on how someone might throw a health pool onto this, or how someone might track like damage to the player character in their story, if that's what their story allows for? Because like looking at these Imaginarium like sample settings and everything, I can see a world where someone's playing like in like sword and sorcery or something like that, and they're a bunch of action figures and they're playing through taking down a castle, and they like the whole system and everything, but they're like, okay, how do I actually play through, like, oh, you got hit with a sword?
That is a good question. I have kind of thought a lot about just like what health is tracked with. The crunchiest part of game is, and like I say crunchiest loosely, is kind of like the clash, which is like quote unquote like combat, which is a
Yeah.
little more of like a family friendly version of fighting, where you
Hmm.
have like failure points and like points of failure and also points of success as well, that are like, it's a little more gamey. Like you track, like it's a little like, it is kind of like a combat, so you're counting, how many successes, how many failures. There is that kind of tracking of progress without necessarily tying it to health. As of right
Yeah.
now, there are still two sections that I'm kind of thinking about, which are like outside of this. So one is connections, which is going to be like, I think kind of what I talked us through without officially having it on the character sheet, but like how you guys all know each other, like
Hmm.
establishing some options for connecting with each other. Like, I know this person, like you can write in whatever with those. That's a section
Yeah.
that is going to be
Mm.
added to this. But there's also one about like, not wounds, I don't know the terminology, but like maybe consequences of something very bad might be an element that is kind of added. But there's,
Yeah.
I think the game doesn't fit the niche of also tracking health, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think like it
Well,
gets into a weird space of your toy died.
yeah.
Like,
I
like
I think I think to assist there in the rules, there's a
yeah.
section for clashes, which is kind of like the in D&D terms would be like the combat begins section. And instead of,
Mhm. Yeah.
from, if I'm reading the rules correct or incorrect, let me know. But basically, instead of it being like a hit points versus pool, like we're taxing resources, it's more of a, you have a
Mhm.
goal and we're trying to do the goal of it here. So to go back to, let's use Toy Story, one of the toys are pretending to be bank robbers and the other toys are pretending to be sheriffs. Your
Hmm.
goal as the bank robber toys is, we got to get all the loot from the, whatever, the the safe. So
Yeah.
you're trying to get towards that. So you're trying to progress towards that and not necessarily like attack the other team. Like, yeah, they're trying, but from their end, they're trying to lasso you or stop you or push a safe onto you, and then it takes you out. You don't actually like take damage, is how I was kind of
Yeah.
reading this.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
more like lean into the role play. Like if you're a
Mhm.
toy,
Yeah.
when you reach that Imaginarium stage, it's like, oh, I got hit. Oh no, go on without me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think there is like a fair point to be made too about what you were saying with like, I mean, Woody's arm ggets ripped off, like mechanically, how does that happen in this game? Like there's
Yeah.
consequences, but like I think, yeah, that's something that's still being a little contextualized, but it's not like
Yeah.
like your character doesn't die because they got burned or ripped or
Yeah.
torn or something. But that's a fair thing that I still have a little bit of thought on that might be added too. Like Gravity said too, like I think the crunchiness comes to like the more numbers heavy element comes from when two people have different goals and how that's resolved. And that's like it's not just my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. It's not just like a combat. It's like an order of events that are going to be like you start with talking, you go to environmental actions, and then you go to fighting. Like that's kind of like the general like phases
Mm-hmm.
of like quote unquote combat. So it doesn't necessarily fit the niche or the play style of like having like super crunchy health, but it definitely does still have
Yeah.
like gameable options. And, like it's got its own little system for doing like what he said, following or kind of working through a goal and having other
Yeah.
like antics, shenanigans, all that kind of stuff.
One of the other things that I really liked about this too, when I was reading through the rules and shared it with everyone, is I forget if it was an optional rule or not, but when a human or keeper looks at you, you
Mhm.
freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
Disruption.
yeah,
Sometimes, if the toy master decides, then it's disruption, and that's going to be you guys all fall down, and like, a human sees a bunch of random toys in a place they're probably not supposed to be. Are they going to throw them away, or are they going to take them to lost and found? Like, there are
Yeah.
consequences for it's not just like, oh, I don't open the door. It's like, oh, I accidentally tripped a a little tiny security thing on the door, and now stuff's coming because a human sees, and like their first thought isn't, hey, I should destroy this toy. It's like, why
Yeah.
why the hell is there a toy on my
yeah.
front door?
From what I'm hearing from all this, and what I'm really excited about, like listening to you talk about this system, is that it seems like this is more of a story narrative driven system as opposed to like a combat simulator, which like we're all used to combat simulators with
Yeah.
TTRPGs. So I'm always happy to hear about more story and narrative driven systems, because I feel like while there are a good amount out there, I feel like a lot of people lean more into the combat simulator. And one of the things I like a lot that you use throughout this, and as you've been talking through this, is talking through like establishing a goal, taking terms, and then resolving these goals with each other. If there are consequent, like it's very much like a here's your actions that you've done, here are the things you're trying to do, and when things butt into each other, we need to resolve these. So it's very much a narrative story driven system that also has this element of like almost like teaching you of like, hey, we have to talk through things, we have to
Mhm.
work together. And I think that's so cool to do through the medium of toys, because how often do you see kids playing with toys where they're all just like throwing them around, or like, oh, you know what, I've got this shield, I've got the gun that can destroy the shield, well, I've got the thing that can stop the gun that can destroy the shield, you know what I
And
mean? And they're
I'm the
always
teacher
coming
that
up with
says you have to get back to class.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And like I love, like I said before, I love crunchy games. Like some of my favorite games are like Grim Dark Future, all that kind of stuff, like very
Yeah.
40K. Like I enjoy a good breadth of games as well, but I think like the rules of the game should reflect the game being played, and that's why, like, I don't know, not every system fits neatly every single game. Like you can't play D&D with
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu, or like that stuff doesn't correlate like one to one too well. So like with a game where you're playing as toys, like there's inherently like a family friendly aspect of it that is considered. And I think with that, like you're not just gonna have to the death combat with every single setback you get. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like thinking through like action scenes, because like your goal in a game isn't like I want this person to not be a person anymore. Like it's more of like, hey, I need to get the crystal orb or something, and it's like
Yeah.
this person's in the way. Why are they in the way? Because they also want the orb and to unlock the Tomb of Agathar or something. So
Yeah.
they want to unlock the Tomb of Agathar. You want to get that crystal away so they can't. How are you interacting? And it's
Mhm.
not just I bonk you on the head, you bonk me on the head until
Yeah.
like Rock'em
Yeah.
Sock'em
But
Robots, one of
I
us
think,
goes.
yeah,
Like
I think it goes back to,
Strikes them down, and they go,
yeah,
"Wait, hold on. There's 2 out of 3."
yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think it kind of goes back to what Josh said. Like, this is great for kids where it's like, yeah, I mean, there's conflict you can have, but there isn't
Mhm.
fighting. So, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you leave out the rules of like health points, hit points, whatnot, it's like, yeah, you can throw something at someone, but it doesn't do anything. Like, how does
Mhm.
that get you towards your goal of throwing things?
Mhm.
Does it?
And it's even like how you decide to even approach clashes too can be pretty creative, and it's like like you said, it's kind of more problem solving, because like the official order of kind of actions is going to be like it makes sense. You're going to talk before you're going to like throw a punch. you're gonna have the chance to talk before you're gonna throw a punch. So like you can
Yeah.
kind of order it by like, reasoning actions, interacting with your environment, pulling a lever to make this thing go here, and you get a little Rube Goldberg action going.
Yeah.
To kind of like, modify, like interact with the
Mhm.
environment, and then as the last option, you can have fighting, which even you can kind of blend in those last two categories for some more family friendly style with the modulated like rules kind of condensed for different age ranges if you want to even have violence implied or not. But like
Yeah.
it orders it so like clear violence, just physical force against someone is going to be kind of like not a last resort, but it's the last option in a sequence of other options that will get you to solve your problem. So it's like,
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't intentionally meant as like an educational tool, but I think it just happens to be a good reflection of kind of how to deal with conflict in a way that might be beneficial to kids
Mhm.
or kind of might help with teaching those kind of core concepts while still being family friendly.
Mhm.
Like I think a lot about like not toys on bikes, kids on bikes as well.
Yeah.
Those kind of
Yeah.
sorry. There's so
Oh,
many variations like
Toys on
kids on
bikes.
brooms,
Yeah.
brooms in
Yeah.
space, stuff. There's like that same kind of approach with like, a little more lighthearted storytelling. You can be a little more like whimsical, or like you don't have to get into like a I hit you, you hit me, kind of like just back and forth. Like other very like objectively very fun games also like will
Yeah.
have, but different style as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So with enemies as well, I can probably talk a little bit about this too. On my side as a toy master, obviously I have NPCs. They'll be making rolls sometimes, but like the bulk of gameplay is about, characters rolling. But whenever you're faced with someone, the NPC will become an adversary, at least for the time being. And there's a list of, kind of stat blocks to kind of draw from to kind of help you as a toy master run an enemy on the, quote unquote, this side of the screen. So it gives you some resources on like what stats to use. It makes it easier for players because they're rolling more often than you are. You don't really have to, worry about managing like so many different enemies because it's primarily like one or two adversaries, even if you have a bunch of, quote unquote, like enemy toys that you're dealing with.
Get him,
Just a
army
few
men.
thresholds.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have like different thresholds. So you have different thresholds in different phases of Clash. So some might be more susceptible to reasoning, and if you roll higher with that, you're gonna, pass. As opposed to if someone's a little less aware, they're gonna be more susceptible to attacks or interactions in other phases. So it makes it a little easier to manage because toys are just gonna be rolling against like a set number. But when it's the adversary's turn, they have a set die that they roll with across all three just to kind of do their action. And
Yeah.
it's like the turn order isn't like whoever goes first. It isn't like whoever rolls highest to go first. It's more of in that sequence of phases, who initiated the conflict or who initiated the clash is going to go first in each of those phases. So if you have an adversary that is trying to talk stuff through, then they're going to go first in the reasoning phase, and then
Mhm.
anyone else on the player side is going to take their action in the reasoning phase unless they wanted to act in one of the other two phases instead. So you only act in one phase.
Like one action per
Yeah.
turn, and there's three possible actions you could do: the talk, the
Yeah.
interact, or the fight. So,
Yeah.
and I think how we've
Yes.
we've had our characters designed, like, I'm the talker.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Josh is the
Yeah.
action, and you're the reluctant fighter there, Jacob.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Which again, unknowingly goes with the system. Reluctant fighting.
Honestly,
It does.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Gentle
much.
diplomat.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. But yeah, and there's a couple different thresholds of like adversaries to use as well. So depending on the amount of players you have, how you can kind of like balance it, so it's not going to be so overwhelming, or it's not going to be too easy to brush through the big final boss
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's like you can kind of modulate some numbers, and it'll kind of guide you through how to like balance that for different numbers of people. But this game is designed for about like, up to around 5 people, like 4 players and a toy master. So this kind of perfect. Having 3 people kind of is great because you guys are actually balanced for all 3 aspects of
Mhm.
it. So I'm looking forward to getting you guys in a clash.
Hey, it's gonna
Want
be
to see how that
great.
goes.
I'm sure this might vary game to game, but what role do like insects and small animals have in this system?
Oh.
I think they might not be interactable. I think it might just be like toys are interacting with toys, but like if you come across a snake, it's probably just gonna like be very confused and like it's
Slither
gonna
away.
act like a wild animal. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna get a lot of like very drawn out like philosophical debates with animals in this one,
Yeah.
but you
Why
can
do you
absolutely
slither, snake?
yeah
What does hiss mean to you?
yeah.
Wait. See, you're telling me that SP can't have an army of cockroaches?
Oh no.
Not yet.
Oh man, now I'm just imagining Rick and Morty when Rick is Pickle Rick and he like
Yes.
gets the rat body thing, but it's SP with just like cockroach shells all over him that he's rolled through. And, like, I have mechanized. Just gross antenna uses in bacon. I am ready.
Ooh. I'm
It's like
sorry
the
that I
worst
even brought that
transformer.
up.
Yeah.
It is a toy.
There is a body horror element to this game that I think is just right below the surface. That
It's
and should be
definitely
explored.
It's there. It's
Yeah.
so close.
Yeah.
I think that we did cover most of the rules from what I remember of reading through it. I think the only other
Yeah.
thing we didn't specifically talk about, but just so that like Jacob and Josh are aware, is
Mhm.
the difficulty rating is similar to other tabletop systems where it's like 1 through, or not 1 through 20. For it goes linearly.
I mean,
One
yeah, it's
one
like
plus keeps going up. The
yeah.
higher the number, the more difficult.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, standards around like 8 to 10 ish. And then there is also a quick reference sheet as well. It's got a few just quick pieces of information, kind of how to use a story token. I think I said it before, but like you can influence your checks and your allies' checks. So like you can get a +4 for your ally. In addition to that, you can reroll a check for your own as well. Or you can also give an adversary a negative effect where you can do like a
Mhm.
-2 to their result, or you can make them reroll and take the lower of the two.
I can be
So you can
not
like,
helpful.
yes. One might even say detrimental.
Detriment.
There's hazards as well, but that's more of a gameplay element. You know, it's just there's different challenges, and like if you get into a clash and there's like an environmental difficulty or there's like a thing going on, that might break up the sequence. So there might be a thing to deal with that doesn't really interact with talking, but like if you're trying to interact with the environment, it might be between those two, or it might be like people need to get out of this in order to move around. So
Yeah.
there's like
Mm.
hazards that can kind of like modify a static order of events for that clash as well.
I think one of the other things that we haven't talked about yet, and I know we're running out of time, but I like how with rules light systems, it allows and kind of empowers other people to become the DM, or in this case, the toy master. Where in the rules, he specifically called out a few times where it's like, make sure to like change who the toy master is and so on, and that because it is toys, it makes it more approachable. I think if for
Yeah.
this would also be good for someone who's like a new DM, in my eyes, where it's like these are all relatable objects. Think of yourself as a toy, and you just have to get, say, from the bedroom to the kitchen and back without getting noticed. That is the adventure. It can be something as simple as that, and just think through your own house of how to do it.
Yeah.
That's a great point, and something that I think maybe was unconscious when I was thinking about this with that, but like that is kind of I think how I started playing with stuff is like I mean with anyone, you know, like toys just interacting with their environment like that is a very accessible thing, and I think that helps with getting new people in there as well.
Yeah. So I think my final question would be, with the toys that we've made, what would your toy be if if one of us was
Ooh.
to take over as toy master?
So I had a character that was kind of like a little like squeaky penguin, but he was like an old timey like a 1920s grizzled reporter kind of noir style. Like this thing's betrayed me, you know. Like
Nice.
he sounds like you know, voice box is a little shaky, but he's like
Yeah.
sounds a little gruff, like to someone who maybe was chain smoking for like 30 years. But I forget the name of that character. That would be fun. I don't know if I would. I think what might complement this is a vehicle of some kind, because I think you guys all deprioritize speed a bit. So I think
Yeah.
what might play into it is maybe like a Spider-Man car or something, like the Spider-Mobile. It's kind
Yeah.
of the first thing that comes to mind, but maybe there's a more generic version, like web slinger or something like that. But I think probably like a vehicle of some sort would come to mind for if I was to, give the reins to Gravity or Josh or Jacob. Like what if you guys
Yeah.
took over? I'd probably hop in as a toy that's like, probably just tucked under a couch and like doesn't really want to interact with anyone. Really quick, probably like a getaway car is maybe his thing.
You're
It's
just
the Barbie car, but the Barbie car is
Yes.
ashamed to be the Barbie car, so it hides away under the couch.
It's not the Malibu dream car, it's the Malibu nightmare car.
Oh yeah.
dreams of being on the open road, sequestered to the sofa, just hiding under there all the time.
It's like a little like just a tiny dog just always staring at like cars going by and zooming and like just watching them. But I'm just like going from underneath. I'm just looking out at all the other cars going down the road. Like, man, I wish I could be one of those.
Yeah.
That's what, 25 miles an hour? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. One day I'll
Yeah,
be
one
at
of these
least
days.
12.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything. So I'm excited to hop on next week as we do this little
Yes.
adventure.
Hey Keller, where can our audience find you, and where and when can they play this system?
Yeah, so people can actually find me on Blue Sky, just Keller O'Leary, or my handles I think at Zandrio dot bsky.social. But I'm also on Drive-Thru RPG and itch.io as Space Cat Publishing. I have a few other projects that are already out. Lost Toy Brigade should be out at least in playtest form by the time this comes out. So if people want to find that, they can head to my drive-through itch, or they can check out my socials and navigate to it from there. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Yeah, no, thank you guys so much. I appreciate. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the character creation process, but I really appreciate being able to talk about this with you guys and kind of
Yeah.
getting game going for you.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is a ton of fun getting to make these characters together. It's been great getting to chat with you. I'm super stoked for us to get into this, get into the actual play test and get to play these characters together. Gravity,
Yes.
if I hand this off to you, do you think that you can land this plane? Do you think that you can touch down on this outro?
So we're cruising at 50,000 feet above sea level, and as we approach the outro, make sure to buckle your seatbelts, and everyone, and prepare for the soft. Wait, what was that? Check engine. What? What? Engine 4 and 3, but we still got one. No, we don't have 1 and 2 either. Shh, this is your captain speaking. Please put your seatbelts on and brace for immediate impact, as this pod is about to end in 3, 2. Oh, yeah.